lesson is going to cover the next 2 math days that you have in your planner. Remember, it's obviously you can do things differently than I have on your schedule, but I really try to plan your schedule so that it keeps it balanced. So, keep that in mind as you're working. But this lesson is to cover the word problem page that you're supposed to do today, and then also the scale problems for the next day. And they're similar. They're word problems with proportions. They just look a little bit different. And so we'll talk about some of those today in this video. And then your 4th assignment for math for the week doesn't have a video. Your job is to read the notes that I wrote. And I think I wrote them fairly well. And I gave, for each section in your assignment, there's a little section of notes with examples. And I think if you follow those, you shouldn't have any problem. If you do, let me know. Please don't be afraid to let me know. But that was a lot easier for me than doing another video. I'm having some troubles with internet speeds and getting all of the videos to upload to YouTube. So on some of the things, I'm going to try to figure out ways to have you do a little bit more on your own and reading and figuring out some things that way. But I really like doing the videos for you. I know that they help. I know it helps to hear stuff being said as it's being done. So I'll do as much as I can. All right. So with word problems with proportions, the key is setting it up correctly. So there are 4 different ways that you can set them up that work. They all work. It might help you to just always do it the same way. The problem is as you get further along in math, and maybe even in some of these questions, I haven't read every single one on your assignment. I just know that they fit what we're doing. They aren't always going to give you the information in the exact same order, and you won't always be missing the same piece of information. So remember, with proportions, there are 4 places, and one of them is missing, and that's the one that you're solving for. So with a word problem, we'll be given some sort of smaller rate or smaller ratio, and then they're going to have some other kind of larger amount for the same type of ratio, because that's their proportional. So it's the same units and everything. It's just that you have this smaller amount. Like if I am going to rent a movie and it's $1.99 to rent the movie, and it's asking, how much to rent 5 movies. So I have a smaller amount renting 1 movie for $1.99, and I'm going to have a larger amount where I'm renting the 5 movies because that's more movies. Okay? So those 2 things to figure out. What's my smaller amount and what's my larger amount? And then the other thing to figure out is what is my units. So like in that example, I have my dollars, the cost for renting a movie, and then I have the number of movies that I get. So the smaller amount, it was $1.99, so $1.99 for one, and the amount was 1 movie. And then for the other, it was how much, we don't know. So with the dollar amount, you don't know, for 5 movies. So the same exact units, it's just that one amount is a smaller amount and the other amount is larger, but they're proportional, so we can set a proportion to solve. So try not to let it get too confusing for you. Recognize the smaller amount and the larger amount, and then pick out your units. And then this top one, I think, is the absolute easiest one to use. But you aren't always going to get your information in order. So all of these, I can have the smaller amount with unit 1 on top and the smaller amount for unit 2 on the bottom. So this would be like my $1.99 for 1 movie. And then my larger amount, this would be the part I don't know. So it's my variable because I don't know that part. And my larger amount unit would be 5 movies. And then all you have to do is cross multiply and divide by 1. So this one, obviously divided by 1 doesn't do anything, but I'm trying to just show you how it works. Okay. Let's say it was $3.98 for 2 movies, and I want to know how much it is for 5. So it still works the same way. This is the smaller amount because it's only 2 movies, and this is the larger amount because it's 5 movies. Okay? So my dollar amount over the movies, dollar amount over the movies. Here, this is the dollar amount that I don't know, but it's still going to be a dollar amount. And you cross multiply and divide by the third number to get this one. Okay. Now, I can also have my smaller unit 1 on top. So it's $3.98. We're going to use that 2 movies one. $3.98. And my smaller amount unit 2 over here for 2 movies. My larger amount unit 1, oh, that's the dollar unit, and we don't know that one. That's what it's asking for. Okay? And my larger amount unit 2, that was the 5 movies. I could do larger amount unit 2 on top. So that was the 5 movies. Larger amount unit 1, that was how much it cost. That's the part we don't know. Smaller amount unit 2 was the 2 movies. And the smaller amount unit 1 was the cost of the 2 movies. So notice I'm still going to do $3.98 times 5 divided by 2. Cross multiply and divide. I'll show you what's common again in a second. Okay, smaller amount unit 2, that's the number of movies in the smaller amount, so that's 2 movies. My larger amount for unit 2 is 5 movies. Because remember, unit 2 was movies, and the larger amount was 5. And then my smaller amount, unit 1 was dollars, so that was $3.98. And my larger amount, unit 1, that was the part I don't know, because that's the money, and I don't know how much money it is for 5 movies, for the larger amount of movies. Okay, so we're going to look up here and see this commonality. I can show all of them. That might be helpful. So on every single one, when you cross multiply and then divide, you're using the exact same amounts. That's important. If they're not, then they wouldn't be actually the same thing. But look, $3.98 times 5 divided by 2. $3.98 times 5 divided by 2. 5 times $3.98, same thing, divided by 2. And then here, 5 times $3.98 divided by 2. So you can't have the 5 movies and the 2 movies at a diagonal to each other. And you also can't have the $3.98 and the amount for 5 movies at a diagonal from each other. Okay? Because we have to agree, and this is what the phrase I use, especially next year, we have to agree vertically and we have to agree horizontally. So that means vertically, here, up and down, smaller, up and down, larger. Those agree. Okay? But then at the same time, I have to agree horizontally. Horizontally, unit 1, dollars and dollars. Horizontally, unit 2, number of movies. So I have to agree this way, and I have to agree this way. They have to match. Here, vertically, I have unit 1, dollars and dollars. And here I have vertically movies and movies. Horizontally, I have smaller amount, and larger amount and larger amount. So you're not going to have them at a diagonal to each other. You have to have both. So you can't just check one way. You have to check all ways. Up and down and across to make sure that you're using, that the units match each other, or that the size matches, the smaller and the larger. Okay, same thing here. Vertically, larger amount. Vertically, smaller. They're in agreement. I don't have larger and smaller. Okay, and then horizontally, I have unit 2 and unit 2, movies and movies, and horizontally I have unit 1 and unit 1, dollars and dollars. And then finally down here, unit 2, unit 2, unit 1, unit 1. Number of movies, dollar amounts. They line up. This way, smaller amount, larger amount, larger amount. So I have to go up and down, they have to agree, and vertically they have to agree. I just did that backwards. Up and down, they have to agree. Vertically is also up and down. Horizontally, side to side, they have to agree. Okay, so I think this is the easiest one. Take your smallest amount, write it so it makes sense to you. Dollars per movie, or whatever. Dollars per however many movies. And then over here, write the same thing in the same order for the larger amount. So here you know it's a larger amount because you have 5 movies instead of 2. So let's look at some examples, and hopefully that will help you. Okay, so if 5 pounds of apples is $5.99, okay, pounds and dollars, how much is it for 8 pounds of apples? So they're asking how much money, okay, my smaller amount is when I buy 5 pounds, because 5 pounds of apples is less than 8 pounds of apples. So I'm going to put my dollar amount on top. It's $5.99 for 5 pounds of apples. And I want to know how much is it for 8 pounds of apples. Now remember, I can set this up in different ways, and next year when we do this, I'll show you all those different ways. For today, because I've shown you things you can do, I'm going to let you try to stick with this one, knowing what the rule is. Okay? Here, this is my smaller amount up and down, and my larger amount up and down, my dollar amount across, and my weight across. Okay, so I have agreement in those directions. Okay, so I'm going to cross multiply the numbers at a diagonal. So $5.99 times 8 divided by 5. Okay, now this is money, so I'm not going to have $9.58.4 because that's weird. So I'm going to round it, and because 4 is smaller than 5, I'm going to keep it at $9.58 a pound. Okay, so that's how much it costs to buy 8 pounds of apples. Okay, next problem. On a house plan, which is a scale drawing, okay, a room is 3 inches wide. So let's say I have this room on my plan, and this is 3 inches on the drawing. Okay, how wide is the actual room if the plan scale is 1 inch to 4 feet? Okay, the smaller amount is the scale on my map because it's 1 inch instead of 1 inch instead of 3 inches. So this is smaller. So I'm going to put 1 inch over 4 feet because that's my ratio. Okay, that's my scale. That's what that's called. Equals. Now I know that my larger one is 3 inches. This picture, this isn't actually 3 inches, but pretend, is 3 inches, and I don't know how much that is in real life. That's what I'm trying to find out. Okay? So you multiply the numbers that are diagonal, and you divide by the third number. In this case, my third number is 1, and so that makes it a lot easier. So that means that in real life, that room is 12 feet wide. Okay? Watch your units. Make sure your unit for your answer matches what you're trying to find. Okay. Number 3 here. Hold on. Okay. If I average 50 miles per hour on a road trip, that is 360 miles, how long did it take? So this one you have to think about a little bit more. My first ratio is this rate, 50 miles per hour. Okay. 50 miles per 1 hour equals my larger amount. Here's 360 miles. So that goes on top. 360 miles. Okay. And then I'm trying to find out how many hours that is, how long it will take. So notice here, this is my smaller amount. This is like my scale, basically. Okay. My smaller amount. And this is my larger amount. And I have my miles on top and I have my hours on bottom. So I couldn't have like just this one flipped. If just this one was flipped and I had hours on top and the 360 miles on bottom, that wouldn't be right. That wouldn't work because I have to have my miles together and my hours together. Okay, I could flip everything and I could flip this way. Okay, and I could spin it around, but I still have to have all those rules followed. That's why I suggest you use this method. The smaller amount with unit 1 on top and unit 2 on bottom equals the larger amount with unit 1 on top and unit 2 on bottom. Okay, this would be a good thing to write down if you want to pause it and write that down because that can help you. Okay, and then this last one here. If I got to drive 437 miles on 20 gallons of gas, how far could I drive with 32 gallons? So notice I have 2 gallon in numbers and I have 1 mile numbers. So the thing I'm missing is how far. I'm missing miles. Okay? And because I just realized I didn't solve this one. Sorry. This one up here. I do 360 times 1, which doesn't do anything, divided by 50. So 7.2 hours. And we're just going to leave it like that for now. Sorry, I didn't finish that one. Okay, back to this one. 437 miles on 20 gallons of gas. How far could I drive with 32 gallons? Okay, my smaller amount, I can only figure out my smaller amount based on the numbers I have that have the same unit. These two. So my smaller amount is 20 gallons. And I'm going to write my miles on top. 437 miles per 20 gallons. Okay, because that's how far I went with 20 gallons. Equals, says how far, I don't know this one. I don't know how far, so I'm going to put an X there, on 32 gallons. Okay, so 437 times 32, because I'm multiplying it at diagonal. And then I'm dividing by 20. So 699.2 miles. And your answer should make sense. So, think about what you wrote down. If 20 gallons gets me 437 miles, shouldn't I go farther with 32 gallons? Mm-hmm. And, I'm not going to go twice as far, because I don't have twice as much. Like if I had 40 gallons, that would be twice as far. So I would go double this. So this number is smaller than that because I didn't go double. I just went 12. I had 12 more gallons than with the other one. So we did problems like this before using rates, calculating rates and figuring it out. I like the proportions better because I don't have to do 2 separate calculations. It puts I'm doing 2 separate calculations, but I'm doing it all at once. Instead of doing it in 2 parts, I'm putting it all together in one proportion and solving. Proportions are super, super helpful. So that thing, when you want to know what I'm going to use this for in real life, proportions are super helpful. I'm working on my house plans. I think I shared that with you already. And I'm doing that a lot. Like I'm measuring on the picture, and then I'm imagining what that looks like in real life. Or I'm going around my house and measuring windows to see like what would they look like on here, or measuring distances between things and then figuring out how wide that would be on a piece of paper. So very helpful. Helpful for figuring out things like gas mileage and stuff like that. So you're probably ready for me to stop now. My voice is about ready for me to stop. I'm going to start coughing or something here in a second. I don't know why. So remember this stuff, especially like number 2, will help you with your assignment for tomorrow on scale drawings. And then your last assignment for the week has stuff for you to read to figure out. Please let me know if you have questions. I miss you guys. See you later.